All right, I want to talk a little about marriage and family. This is part of a series of videos designed to help you understand what God says about marriage and family and to really enjoy your marriage and your family. I have found that many people who come with marriage problems say that they want help, and it seems like they should want help because their problems are so desperate. And yet, it's surprising how often you can work with them for a long period of time and find that they're not really moving forward. And so often, when you look very closely at the reason they're not moving forward, it has to do with the fact that they are saying they want help, but they really haven't committed themselves to certain fundamental biblical convictions that are absolute requirements for having a marriage that honors God and is good for you. And the first conviction we looked at in the last video, do you believe that God knows best for your marriage? The second conviction I want to look at in this video, this conviction is essential if you're going to deal with any marriage problem. Do you have this conviction? Marriage is not first about you being happy. Let me say that again. Do you have this conviction? Marriage is not first about you being happy. Now, I'm being straight with you, and we need to say it right. Is God pro-happiness? Of course, God is pro-happiness. Did God design marriage for your joy? God designed marriage for your joy. But I said first. There always has to be a first. So for example, do I like my right hand? Yes, I like my right hand. Would I rather have my right hand? Of course, I would rather have my right hand. But if I'm out hiking and I fall and have a rock on top of my right hand and I can't get out and I can't get my hand out and I have to make a choice, first, I'm about staying alive. I'm about staying alive even above my right hand. That's the kind of question that you have to ask yourself when it comes to marriage. Yes, you want to be happy, but what do you want first? Because there is something even more important, and that's God's glory. Now, obviously, if you're part of a church, you say you're a Christian, you probably know that. And many people who are having problems will agree that they were created to glorify God. But do you know how many of those same people approach family? They look at the family as a tool for their own pleasure. What matters to them most when they get married is their own pleasure. Many people come to family with a self-centered attitude. What is in it for me? Now, what's wrong with that? Idolatry. This is where talking about problems so often gets hard because someone's not happy and they're like, well, are you saying I shouldn't be happy? Or if someone's not respected, they're like, well, are you saying my wife shouldn't respect me? And I'm like, well, no, but yes. Look, it's dangerous to take a good thing and make it the most important thing. Fundamentally, marriage is about serving God. If you make marriage about you being respected first or about you being comfortable first, and if you're like, I can't experience joy in this marriage and in this family unless that happens, then you're making those physical things your idols. So what do? Do you stop wanting to be happy? Do you stop wanting to be respected? Of course not. But you want something more. A good family is not just about you being respected, and it's not just about you being happy. Even if you have those things, you can still not have a good family. Because family is designed by God as a means of making him look great. So look, if you're talking to a Christian husband or wife, and you're asking them the question, why is there family? Why does this family exist? What is your purpose as a husband? What is your purpose as a wife? The way they would answer that question is the same way they would answer any question about why anything exists. The reason we're here on the planet, the reason the family exists is to make the beauty and greatness of God look as big and wonderful as they really are in the minds of people around us. It's not simply that we can be comfortable. It's not simply that we can have an easier life. It's that through being a husband, through being a wife, through being a father, through being a mother, through being a child, through being a brother, through being a sister, we can show this world how great and valuable God really is. And while that sounds maybe simple, when it's truly applied to our lives and to our families, it is revolutionary. You see, one of the fundamental problems people have in their marriages and in their families is that they're using them for the wrong purpose. Any good tool can be ruined if you use it for the wrong purpose. If I take a hammer and I use the hammer to brush my teeth, obviously I'm going to do damage to my teeth. The problem's not with the hammer, the problem's with the way I'm using it. And that is how it is for many people with their marriages and their families. They're not using it for its ultimate purpose. Instead, they're putting themselves at the center. I like how Paul Tripp illustrates this. And I love this because this is why so many people are disappointed in their marriages. He writes, in 1978, I did one of the most courageous things in my life. I became a kindergarten teacher. One Monday afternoon, the mother of one of my students asked if she could have a birthday party for her daughter in the classroom on the following Friday. The day came, and after the mother's preparation, we all entered the room, and she turned the classroom into a birthday kingdom. The walls and the tables were decorated, balloon after balloon. You get the picture. The only exception was the birthday girl, who was surrounded by a huge pile of beautifully wrapped gifts. At the far end of the table sat Johnny, and Johnny kept doing the same thing over and over. He would look at his little bag of gifts that the mother had given, and then he would look at the birthday girl's mountain of gifts, and he would fold his arms, he would stick out his lower lip, and he would say, "Humph, humph." Each time, the look on his face got more ugly, and the noise he was making got louder. Before long, he had become the center of attention and was well on his way to spoiling the party. Then one of the mothers walked over and knelt beside him. She turned his chair, she took Johnny's face in her hands, and she spoke these profound words. "Johnny, it's not your party." Johnny wasn't supposed to be the center of attention. He wasn't supposed to have a huge pile of gifts. It was Susie's birthday, and everything was rightly focused on her. Johnny would never enjoy his inclusion in the event if he demanded to be the center. And I think the same is true with marriage and with family. The purpose of marriage is the glory of God. As a husband, as a mother, as a wife, as a father, you are called to serve an agenda that is bigger than you. You have been called to live for the glory of someone else. So before we talk about the specifics of marriage and family, we need to make sure we're thinking correctly about this fundamental reality. Who gets to define marriage for us? Who gets to define family for us? Who sets the agenda? God. What is the reason our family exists? On a day-to-day basis, are we most concerned about God's glory or our own? It's good to ask this question. What is your marriage about first? If you are going to have a marriage that glorifies God and is good for you, you have to be committed to this basic conviction. It is great to be happy. You want to be happy in marriage. Go for it. But first and foremost, marriage is not simply about you being happy. It is about God's glory. Now, you pursue your happiness by pursuing the glory of God. That's what's so beautiful about putting the glory of God first. That is the way that He increases your joy. Definitely. We don't want to get that wrong. We are pursuing our joy by putting the glory of God first. But if we put ourselves first, we're actually not pursuing our happiness. So the quickest way to be unhappy in marriage is to think that your own personal happiness must come first in marriage. No, God's glory comes first, and if you're pursuing God's glory first, you're going to find that He stuffs your marriage filled with real, lasting, substantial joy.